Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the HexaDashers podcast. This is going to be a show about cryptocurrency, about Dash, about Hex, and about how these two cryptos can live with each other. And we're going to explain over time, we're going to explain what Dash is, what all the features Dash has, and the things that are going on in the Dash ecosystem. And we're also going to be explaining about Hex, what Hex is, and what Hex has going on right now in the Hex ecosystem. So if you're interested in either of these two currencies, want to learn more about Dash or Hex, you've come to the right place. My name is Tao of Satoshi. I'm the host of Cash Alternative TV, and with me today I have Blake Chamness. He's well known in the Dash community, but he's also an investor in Hex. So we'll give Blake a chance to give himself an introduction right now. Welcome to the show, Blake.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I've been in crypto about 10 years and been a long Dash supporter about 3 years now, putting in proposals with their treasury system. And I invested in Hex when it was below a penny. So support both projects and see a lot of potential for growth in both projects. Or I should say, one's a project, one's a product. Hex being a product.
Yep.
As we both know, Tal.
That's one thing that I always get criticized for every time I say project. They're like, no, it's a product. It's already been finished. Richard finished it. He did everything that he needed to do. That's if you're a Dasher, it's Richard Hart is the creator of Hex. So he finished everything that needed to happen right before he released it. So it's not a project. It's not continually worked on. It's actually finished. Whereas Dash is more of a project. It's being worked on and it has future goals that it's striving to achieve.
And it's funny, you know, I was reprimanded on that, making that distinction. And at first I thought it was kind of unnecessary, but it is a big distinction, a product versus project, and that it's done, complete, triple audited, walk away from it.
Absolutely. So I'm happy that you decided to do this pilot, Blake. If it works out, we can make it a regular thing going forward. If you're viewing this, if you're watching, if you enjoy our conversation together, we're going to be together for about half an hour, 40 minutes. If you like this conversation and you want to hear more from us at HexaDashers, just give us a like, leave a comment in the chat. We're going to get to it after probably in about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll get to the chat because we understand a lot of people out there might have questions about Dash or Hex. So Blake, you've actually been involved in the Dash community to quite an extent, right? You know about one of the features of Dash, which is the treasury, and you, like me, I've been involved in the treasury, and you've been involved in the treasury. What is the treasury? Why is it unique to Dash, and how were you involved in it?
The treasury is a very unique setup for a crypto to have. I've been involved with it a few times. You can put up a proposal. It costs 5 Dash to submit a proposal, and you just come up with an idea of how you can help Dash, and then the masternodes vote on it. And it's a unique system. I've probably got the most failed proposals out of anyone, so I hold that record. But I think that once Dash taps into the full potential of the treasury, it'll really have something beautiful going. That's how I feel about the Dash treasury. It's a global system, so I mean, people are tapping into it from Brazil, Venezuela, all over the globe. And I just think it's a beautiful system that can allow crypto expansion organically, seeping out into communities, cities, regionally. That was always my vision of it, and what I put in my proposals for, which was I'm in Texas, so I wanted to get my hometown talking about Dash, talking about crypto, and then I traveled around Texas and California, so that was my dealings with the Dash treasury.
Okay, and if you're just joining me, I'm Tao of Satoshi, and I'm a longtime Dash community member as well. And I also know about the treasury. And if you're out there, if you're a Hexican and you're saying, I have no idea what this treasury is, what this is all about, don't worry, because maybe later on today or the next episode, we're going to get into an in-depth of both currencies. We're going to get into an in-depth about what Dash has, what Hex is all about. So if you're coming from either community, you can learn about the other one. And even if you're not part of either community, you're just joining us because you saw this on YouTube, you can learn about both Hex and Dash. You get two for the price of one. So
Yeah,
I also, so go ahead. Yep.
well, I just want to say, yeah, straight up off front, like I have many great things to say about Dash, and for the hexers out there, I got a lot of great things to say about Hex as well. So I'm giving my gut instinct from the heart today on both projects.
Yep. So why don't you take over a little bit, and I'll talk about Dash a little later on, and you can talk about Hex right now. So if I'm a Dasher, I've never heard of Hex. I just see people talking about it on the Discord or whatnot. So what exactly is Hex? What's the product that's known as Hex?
Hex is a winning product because it's a CD and it rewards the time value aspect in investing. So to me, this is a really big deal because in crypto, what you have is pumps and dumps, whales controlling the market. No one's locked in. And with Hex, we're moving closer and closer to kind of perfecting the art of creating a savings account, I would say, if that makes sense. So basically, it's a CD that was created by Richard Hart, who has done a phenomenal job of getting it out there too. That's one thing I really applaud the Hex community and Richard Hart himself for, is nonstop promotion, nonstop talking about it, getting it out there because they're proud of it. And also they had so much pushback, which is one of the things we've talked about that reminded us of Dash, that there were so many critics, so many naysayers that were so quick to just jump over any and every aspect of Dash. Similar thing going on with Hex. And now that it's winning, it's glorious to see that.
Yeah, Hex has been gatekept quite a bit on the on CoinMarketCap. It should have a rightful place of number 5 based on market cap. But on CoinMarketCap, it's actually placed at 201. It's on the 3rd page. Whether if you go to nomics.com, it's actually number 5, just behind Binance Coin.
Such a big factor there too. It's like, if Hex can get this far without being on major exchanges, without being listed properly, then there's so much uproom from here. And when people find out about those aspects, they'll start questioning CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. Maybe they'll stop thinking about trading so much and more about saving, which that's one thing Richard Hart and the Hex community really pounds is this is about saving and delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm. And I guess we should talk a little bit about the machinery behind Hex and how that works. If you just come in and you put a Hex contract, you actually select the amount of Hex that you want to put into the contract and the length of time you want to put into the contract. And the longer you put into the contract, the longer amount of time, the more bonus Hex you get. And then to buy T-shares. So you actually buy T-shares with the Hex, but the contract will give you bonus Hex if you actually stake for longer, correct?
Correct. And, to break it down simply, as you know, longer pays better, bigger pays better. And why not? That's traditionally how finance is done. And it should be applied here that if you're staking more and if you're staking longer, you should be rewarded more. So it's not rocket science, but it's really perfect, actually. And that's what we're seeing. That's why we're seeing the market respond to it the way it is, because it's a great idea.
Yeah. And if you're out there as a Hexican, if you're actually a YouTuber or you like to do live streams, we're going to be doing live streams here on HexaDashers. And we're open to people from both sides of the fence. If any Dashers want to come on, that's great. Any Hexicans want to come on, that's great. This is just something that we're starting. So hopefully you enjoy our chat with Blake. We're going to be the main host of the show. But moving forward, we can do all kinds of things like that. And but we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that you need to keep up with your stake, right? If you try to end early, what happens?
Yeah, true. There are penalties, which is part of the beauty as well. You've got to honor, what is it? You got to go past halfway point, or you're going to face major penalties. Which that's how it works, is that the staking class, which is about 10% of the Hex community, I want to say at this point, they're the ones who are rewarded the inflation as well as the in-stake penalties. So if you pledge that you're going to go for 10 years, you need to honor your commitment. If you don't honor it, your money will be rewarded to other stakers in the staker class.
Okay. Yeah, so also another thing that I found interesting was the fact that I think both of these currencies have like a scam title attached to them. Like a Dash because of this confusion around the fast mine at the beginning, and Hex because of all the bright colors and the promises of hefty returns and everything else. So because of that, both projects have been gatekept. Dash is, every time Dash posts something on cryptocurrency, on our cryptocurrency on Reddit, it gets downvoted to oblivion. Same with Hex. And these are things that make us such a good investment. Dash works really well. We're going to get to all Dash's features in a minute. But Dash has one of the most complete cryptocurrencies on the face of the earth. And yet we're gatekept, and it's only worth 170 bucks. It really should be up there with Bitcoin. It really should be up there with Hex in the top 5. But because we've had such a struggle, and because a lot of people talk about it, and Blake, you and I are going to start changing that now. We're going to start talking a lot more about Dash in the near future because we believe in it so much. But also Hex also faces the same thing with all its blatant gatekeeping. And I really think that if once we get past that, you're going to be happy that you've invested in either one of these currencies.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that still a big fan of Dash, especially long-term thinking. I was voicing that, right now I feel like we're in the accumulation phase of crypto. And Hex is really good about that. Savings, a CD. Why I'm bullish on Dash long term is that at some point people are going to want to spend the crypto. And when they do, they will see that the speed of Dash and the cheap transaction fees will really start to play a factor. Seeing the news about El Salvador recently, if the people start, and to anyone who didn't see it, the president of El Salvador is saying that they'll accept Bitcoin as a legal tender now. Well, if the citizens were to start using Bitcoin, they would quickly see that the fees were probably a bit out of their range. And even if they were in range, Dash would be a much better option with the transaction fees being around less than a penny. So that's a really big deal to third world countries, merchants. Any penny they can save, they're going to go for it. So in the long run, when it's time to make payments, Dash is the best payment system out there.
Yeah, and we're going to explain why in the next little while. It's, when you learn about Dash and everything that it has going for it, you're going to wonder, why did we use anything else? Why did we use Bitcoin? Why did we use Bitcoin Cash? And even what it has coming through in the pipeline, which we're going to get to, what they're working on right now, which will probably be released at the end of the year. It's called Evolution, Dash platform. It's going to make Dash easy to use. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about Hex before we move on to Dash?
About Hex, just shout out to Richard Hart for, I love that he goes on all kinds of shows. I saw him on the Wild West Crypto Show. Just all these content creators that a lot of people, probably a lot of, head honchos of cryptos would, dismiss. He's out there getting it out. I really appreciate that. And when he does the live streams, answering all the questions, it's an open dialogue. I really appreciate that they keep it real in the Hex community. I think that's really important, and they keep it real. So
awesome. So I'm just going to go quickly to the chat. We're not as popular as Richard Hart, obviously.
Yeah.
We have right here from Anonymous. He says, "Hello, I'm here because I have no idea what Dash is or what it has to do with Hex." Well, Anonymous, it has nothing to do with Hex, really. Like they're not related in any kind of way. Like Hex is a blockchain CD. You're supposed to, basically put your money away and never spend it. Whereas Dash is the opposite. Dash is where you make your gains with Hex, maybe, then you take your gains over to Dash and use it as your payment network. We have something called CrayPay that's coming out in Dash. You're going to be able to use your Dash to buy at almost 5,000 or I think 150,000 locations in the States. This is something that's coming up, and it's going to be available on Android and iOS. This is going to be a game changer for the usability of Dash, but it's still going to be a middleman. We're going to talk about the actual Dash experience after that, but these are things that are happening that are going to make Dash one leg up on other people, and there's a reason for that too. But we're going to get into that with the Dash Investment Foundation. Crypto Butler says hello. So hello, Crypto Butler. Good to have you with us. That's all we got for the chat right now. But, we got to start somewhere. You and I, Blake, we're pretty positive people. And I think once we start a following, I think we'll have more than 3 people watching us in the future.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's get into Dash. We're gonna start at the beginning because there is so much to talk about with Dash. So if you're a Hexagon, you better strap yourself in, and you're gonna learn everything about Dash. So we had a rough launch. We started, and there was a code base failure from the Litecoin, and it was exacerbated by a prime coin algorithm adjuster. So basically, we had a lot of coins emitted within the first little while. We had about 2 million coins released within the first 48 hours. And then a lot of people in the community at that point, there was no pre-mines at that point, like no pre-sales or anything like that. This is the actual very start of cryptocurrency. There's no pre-sales, there's no pre-mines or anything like that. Now this is commonplace. Every time somebody releases something, the devs always have a big share of it. But because Dash did it at the beginning, everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a scam," and everything else. It has this kitschy scam thing attached to it. So, Blake, what are your thoughts on Dash's beginnings?
The Dash beginnings, pretty much what you said. It's unfortunate that the bug happened, but it's not a no starter for me. Obviously, it wasn't. What I'm noticing is most projects get centralized. It just happens. I don't think Dash is repulsively centralized. I think it's on par. So no problem with the pre-mine issues. And I think the beginning days, actually, like we were saying, is a lot like Hex in that if you take away those early days and that early gatekeeping, no telling where we'd be at. And
Yep.
As the treasury builds up, we'll get there. We'll get to where it's impossible to gatekeep, and people start to see the payment system for what it is, which is the best right now in crypto.
Okay, and most people that are out there that are aware of Bitcoin, they know how Bitcoin works. It has an adjustment, a difficulty adjustment, because it's proof of work. It has a difficulty adjustment every few thousand blocks. Where Evan Duffield, he's the lead creator of Dash. This is the first innovation. We're going to go over all the innovations. This is the first one. He invented something called the dark gravity wave, which basically adjusts every block, the difficulty. So there's no way that it can get too fast, and there's no way it can be too slow. It's going to be always adjusting every block, and that's something that a lot of other currencies use. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I am. It's crazy how many things were copied from Dash. So many. But yeah, that's a great example.
Okay, and the next thing that they created, I like doing this in order because I like starting from the beginning so people can see how we got to where we are right now. So the next thing that was important for Dash, it was known as Darkcoin at the time, was privacy. And privacy is a human right. It's something that everybody should expect in their financial dealings. I don't think anybody wants to take their finances and post it on their front door. That's basically what you do when you use Bitcoin. It's pseudo-anonymous. You do have some level of privacy. But if you have a sophisticated enough technology, you can actually come in and find out where your transactions are. And this is something that I find unacceptable. And so the next innovation that Dash has is privacy. It's now called CoinJoin. You can actually use it in the Dash wallet. And this is to serve to mix your coins and to make your coins more anonymous. So if you don't want anybody to know your financial history, this is something that's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should expect nothing less from crypto. Privacy is very important. There's no reason that we should not settle for anything less. That's basic human right.
Yep. Did you ever use the PrivateSend yourself?
I have used it a few times.
It's called CoinJoin now. We rebranded it.
Yeah, CoinJoin. Yeah. I used it back in the day more just to experiment. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, I still feel we're in accumulation phases. So there's really not a whole lot of opportunity. But with everything I do in crypto, I usually experiment with the projects. So like with Hex, I got involved, want to do a stake. immediately. I did some of those with Dash, private sends, instant sends. Sorry, I'm sure you'll get to that. But what else? And then proposals. I wanted to get involved in the treasury. So yeah, I've used the Dash software, the Dash system, and it's the best.
Yep. So how are all these things? So you mentioned PrivateSend and InstantSend. So this is the next thing that Evan Duffield came up with that was never done before up until that point, and it hasn't been done before to any extent other than copying Dash to this point. So what it is, it's called the second tier. So that's called Masternodes. And in order to run a Masternode, you have to have 1,000 Dash committed. And the reason for that is to avoid Sybil attacks for people starting up random nodes all over the place, because it doesn't cost anything to do it. And then you can derail Dash transactions. So we couldn't have that. We wanted to have these master nodes. We wanted to have them very secure. So there's PrivateSend that's running through them, and there's InstantSend that's running through them. So we don't want any kind of shenanigans there. So a lot of people ask, why do you need 1,000 Dash for a Masternode? I want to run a Masternode. I don't have 1,000 Dash. But that's the reason why, because we need that security. We don't want anybody just randomly picking up a node. When you have a financial investment of 1,000 Dash, that's no small amount. So it's something that you want to keep the network safe.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get the same rewards that Masternodes gets, they can use CrowdNode, and you only have to put up 1 Dash, I think. So if you have like $200 you want to invest and stake in Dash, you can use crowdnode.io, I believe, CrowdNode. So if you want to make some money off of your Dash and stake it, I've used that service, so it's not a bad choice.
Mm-hmm. I remember the posting that Evan made in 2015. He said, no one understands the capability of what the second layer Masternode level is capable of. Like, nobody understands what it's going to what it's going to allow us to do, right? What's going to allow Dash to do. There's a lot of things out there that the Masternode level enables us to do, basically all of our features. So it enables PrivateSend, which was the mixing of coins through the masternodes. It also enables InstantSend and Chainlocks, which is very interesting. We're going to go through that right now. So if you send a Dash transaction, the first thing that happens to it, what's the first thing? Instant locked, right? Instant send. Yeah. So that's locked by the masternodes. There's a quorum of masternodes that's selected. They make sure it's not all the masternodes, because they want to make sure everything has an element of randomness, just so that people can't take over the system. So that's the first level. And as soon as you send your transaction, it's confirmed. No other transaction can be sent using those inputs. So secondly, it's a proof of work blockchain. You're going to have your transaction entered into that blockchain. And then thirdly, that block that you just minted is going to be chain locked by another quorum of masternodes. So whereas a system like Bitcoin only has one level of security, which is the mining network, Dash has actually 3 steps that it goes through to have that security. Even I call it triple level security compared to other blockchains.
Yeah. Yeah, people really underestimate how secure Dash is.
Yeah, when you send a transaction, you can be very assured that it's going to be heading to its destination, and you're not going to have any kind of hack or anything like that. It would cost multitudes of millions of dollars to hack the Dash network, because you have to have a certain amount of the masternodes and a certain amount of the miners. It's super secure.
Yeah.
So why do people want to run masternodes? What's the incentive to run a masternode when you put in 1,000 Dash, Blake?
I would say 7% return. About, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So that, basically, if you want to get down to it, I'd say 7% return factor, and also you get to vote in the treasury.
Okay, so we're gonna get to those things too.
What direction Dash is taking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're from Hex, you might be familiar with Bitcoin. You know that Bitcoin has blocks that are issued, and they also pay the miners. That's the only thing that the block pays. It pays the miners for the security. So what Evan was thinking back in 2015 is that miners are good. Miners are needed to be there, but there are also other stakeholders and other potential people that contribute to Dash that could definitely use a payment as well, and they could be incentivized as well. So the first one that they did was the masternodes, because the masternodes are very important in Dash because they provide that security. and they provide that backbone for all these other things that we can do. So we decided to split the reward. So instead of the miners getting 50%, the miners got, well, instead of the miners getting 100% of the reward, they each got 50%. And then after that, what happened? This is something that you're familiar with. So after we decided to pay the masternodes and the miners, we also said, well, hey, there's other people, there's lawyers, there's promoters, there's coders, there's other places that we can spend this money as well, because other places that are very important to the ecosystem. So what do? We actually created another 10% of the block reward that will go to those people. And you've partaken in that, I've partaken in that. And that's what we were talking off the get-go, right? So now we have a block that every time the block pays, it pays 45% to the masternodes, 45% to the miners, and 10% to this treasury that the masternodes vote on. So can you explain a little bit about Dash's DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, now that we've laid the groundwork for it?
Yeah, so explaining the Dash DAO, the DAO is made up of, what is it, about 5,000 masternodes, somewhere around there. So the masternodes every month review proposals that get put up, and they vote yes or no or abstain. They have 3 options, and you're basically seeing work for coding, all the stuff that's going to be coming out soon with Dash. The developers are getting funded through the Dash DAO, which is a big deal because, take Bitcoin, for example, you have outside influences paying the developers a lot of times. And with Dash, it stays within the system. So the masternodes have the ability to do what's best for Dash, put their money where Dash needs it. So it's a really interesting setup. And let's see, there's about 5,000 masternodes. Once a month is the voting. What else is in there? Right now, I'm going to say there's probably 10 proposals up you can see at Dash Watch. I think that's really interesting for people new to Dash to go check out. You can check all the proposals that come up each month. Brazil, you got someone in Brazil right now, nice guy, Rodrigo, which, by the way, the RAS Bank in Brazil, Ross Bank, just added Dash to all its banking services.
Nice.
So that's a big deal. And you'll just see things like that come up in the Dash treasury where jobs that need to get done and are funded. So it's a beautiful setup.
Blake, do you have to be a Masternode owner to submit a proposal, or can anyone submit a proposal?
Anyone can submit a proposal. You just have to have 5 Dash.
So if anybody watching this has a proposal, they can actually make a proposal if they have 5 Dash?
They can make a proposal.
Wow.
There's a pre-proposal on the Dash forum. If you kind of want to get your idea filled out, you can put in a pre-proposal at the Dash forum and have masternodes guide you through it, comment on it. So that'll give you a feel if you want to go ahead and throw down the 5 Dash.
Yeah, so if you're just joining us, this is the HexaDasher podcast. My name is Christopher Carruthers, also known as Tao of Satoshi, and with me I have co-host Blake Chamness. So if you like this video, if you like this concept of talking about Hex and Dash in a positive way and a nice relaxed atmosphere, give us a smash the like, comment in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, and we might make this a regular thing moving forward. All right, so we're talking about masternodes, we're talking about the DAO, and Dash gets a knock for being called centralized. They say, okay, well, Dash has a CEO, because they look at Ryan Taylor, who's the CEO of Dash Core Group. Is not actually a CEO of Dash, because Dash is a decentralized autonomous organization. So I'm just going to go a little bit into explaining that for people that might not understand. So Dash is basically the people that drive Dash, and the direction of Dash is called the masternodes. Okay, the masternode network, like Blake mentioned, there's about 5,000 masternodes. They each have 1,000 Dash involved in Dash and 1,000 Dash that can't be spent. So these are the actual drivers of the direction. And then in the middle, on the other side, you've got Dash Core Group, which is the main Dash how do you say, contractor. They run the code, they run the marketing, they run legal, anything that the Dash network really needs as a forward-facing entity. The Dash core group will do it. So how did they bring these two together? It was a very interesting concept. And I don't know if you would like to go into it, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. And if you would like to explain it, then go ahead. So it's called the Dash Trust, the Dash Irrevocable Trust. So basically that allows the Dash network, the masternodes, to have a say in what happens in the Dash core group. If they're not happy with what happens in the Dash core group, they can tell the Dash Trust to affect change in the Dash core group. So it's a middleman, because if they didn't have that middleman, then the masternodes would have to submit to KYC to control the Dash core group. But because they actually set it up, so the anonymous, decentralized masternode network for people all over the world through this trust can affect change in the Dash core group. So where people think that Ryan Taylor is the CEO of Dash, that's not the case. He's the CEO of the Dash core group. And in fact, he can be removed at any time if the masternodes aren't satisfied with his performance. So can you go, do you know a little bit about the trust? You might want to explain it.
Well, I'll say something else on this subject real quick that I think is interesting. I want to say, what did the Dash core commit to never going over? Like 50% of the treasury?
I think it was 60.
60%?
Yeah.
I think that's been a really interesting thing. It's something I like that they pledged to do, and that it kind of shows to me the reality of the situation, that Dash core group is a big chunk of what makes the force of Dash, like getting stuff done, but there's still that 40% there for everyday people to come in and challenge Dash core and come up with ideas for their region, their city. So I just think that's an interesting thing to add about the Dash core group situation, that yes, they have a lot of power, but it's a limited power. There's lots of checks and balances within the Dash ecosystem that I really like.
Yeah. So as you can see, if you've been here since the beginning, you can see there's been a progression. Like we start with having the masternode backbone, the second tier masternodes, and that allows us to have cool features like PrivateSend, which is now known as CoinJoin, InstantSend, which is instant transactions. And in fact, unlike any other cryptocurrency, you can send directly to somebody, and then that person can turn around and send it to somebody else. They're instantly respendable. And that's something that's unheard of in other payments currencies, such as Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. You just can't do that in a decentralized way. So that's something that we didn't mention, and we should mention it now. And then we also have the cool infrastructure like the DAO, which is basically like a decentralized group of people from around the world that are deciding on the direction, the largest stakeholders that are deciding on the direction of Dash. So it's not really centralized. You can say, oh, it's a CEO of Dash, they're centralized. But once you know what goes on behind the scenes and the innovation that went into it, it's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Masternode list in a while by country. I remember there was a popular graph there for a while that showed masternodes by country. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
I thought that was really interesting to see that, it was distributed fairly nicely. I liked it. I think it was USA, Germany, Canada, France. There's a few countries in there that surprised me too, where they had a high masternode count.
Yeah, I think Germany was one of the ones on the top that surprised me, and France as well. Yeah, it was like a lot of people in France.
Yeah, oui.
Okay, so there's really two more things that are interesting about Dash. Like you'd think that after all this time that we're done, but we're not. That's why we're so excited about Dash, because it just goes on and on and on, the innovations. Okay, so you mentioned earlier about Dash investing in Brazil, right? Through Rodrigo, through Dash Brazil. So how is that possible? Now, this is another addition to the DAO. So basically, they constructed what's called the Dash Investment Foundation. And this is also a decentralized thing that gets voted on by the Masternode network. So what happens, it's similar to like a private organization, but it's not, because the Dash masternodes actually vote the personnel into the Dash Investment Foundation. And then these people in the Dash Investment Foundation look for opportunities in startups around the world and things that can also increase the value of Dash by adding to its utility. And they can directly invest. They're a forward-facing organization representing the Dash network. that can actually go and make investments on the Dash network's behalf. So, and what kind of things have they done so far? They've actually invested in CloudBet. They've invested in 88i, which is an innovative insurance company in Brazil. They've invested in CrayPay, which is what I mentioned off the top. And that's going to make Dash available to use in many stores around America and soon the rest of the world. Yeah, it's so interesting.
It is interesting. Legally speaking, Dash is also so far ahead of the game. You know, there's so many avenues where they are. Legally speaking, they're so far ahead of the game. What I mean by legally speaking is it's like they've structured themselves to be able to do things that other cryptos can't, to be able to, like you're saying, reward the Dash community through investments that are legally binding. And that's a really big deal. That's a hard thing to pull off. And the fact that they've pulled it off this early and that we're still so low, I mean, we're not getting the attention we deserve in Dash. That's for sure. But it's going to come. And like someone in the diff said, the Dash Investment Foundation, even if you invest in 100 startups and even one of them takes off, you could have a gold mine. And that would be, that's what I think will happen with Dash. We'll find that's a super smart group, the Dash Investment Foundation, and they're going to find some wins. And before you know it, Dashers will be reaping the benefits.
So you're aware of Elon Musk at Tesla. They purchased 1.5 billion of Bitcoin. I'm not sure if they still hold all 1.5 billion, but at one point they had 1.5 billion of Bitcoin. So what's interesting about Dash is we can actually invest in Tesla if we so choose. We're the only cryptocurrency that has an actual decentralized way to invest in companies.
Yeah, and this will be such a big deal during bear markets. Let's face it, crypto has cycles. So Dash has the ability to lock into things like gold and silver if they want, So this will play out in our favor majorly in bear markets, I feel like. Bull markets too, but it's nice that we can lock in gains in different avenues.
Yep.
Like Tesla, if we wanted.
Okay. So Dash really seems like the complete package, but guess what? There's more. If you're a Hexagon watching, there's actually more to this, and Dash isn't done yet. What's evolution, Blake?
Evolution is something Dash has been working on for quite some time now. That is going to be a wallet and a whole ecosystem that is easy to use and is like, there's talks of having a Twitter-like situation on it. Isn't that still in the works?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's like a whole ecosystem where you can use your crypto and communicate with each other in a very friendly way. I've gone on the app, what I've seen so far of the wallet, and it's just really smooth. It's crypto that your grandma could use, and that's the next step that we need. That's what I see evolution as. What do you see it as?
Well, I'm going to go in a little bit to the nuts and bolts of what makes it tick, because as my grandmother is only going to see a Venmo-like experience on the DashPay wallet. But how does it work? Like you can actually set yourself up with an identity on the Dash platform. It's kind of up in the air right now. There's a big push in the Dash community to keep it named Evolution, because this is something that kind of grabs your attention more than Dash platform. But it remains to be seen what the actual thing is going to be called, if it's called Platform or Evolution. Personally, I hope it's called Evolution, because that's what we called it at the beginning. And I think that would be a good nod to the founder, Evan Duffield, because that's what he wanted it to be. So anyway, you're joining the Dash platform. We're just going to call it that for now. You start yourself with an identity. And this is going to be your identity for the whole platform ecosystem, for any apps that are there. And if the DashPay wallet is the first app that's going to come out on the Dash platform, but there's going to be other apps in various industries and various niches that you can use the same ID and login, so the same ID and password. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And how do you communicate with the Dash platform? Do you know about the DAPI, the decentralized API?
Yeah, which is a first situation.
Yep. So can you explain to the viewers a little bit about it? I don't want to hog the conversation.
So DAPI meaning a decentralized app.
Yeah, decentralized API, like an application interface. You know, like you have a centralized API would be like the CoinMarketCap API, whereas this is a decentralized API that can't be taken down. It's going to be available all over the world.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because one of the things that I think a lot of people got into crypto for was the ability to have money that could not be taken away from them, or censorship. You know, this is a way to make sure that we are decentralized in that manner.
Yeah, it's permissionless. So if nobody's going to tell you, like say if you're joining PayPal, they're going to say you can't spend it here, or you have a credit card, you can't spend it there. This is a decentralized API that's not going to tell you can't do anything. It's just there. You can use it. Anyone can use it, and this is what promotes freedom. And this is a big deal. Like that's why I'm saying that's going to work well. And the decentralized API to me is one of the biggest features. And then also there's a thing called Dash Drive, and that's what's going to be storing the identities and storing the information from Dash platform. Can you speak a little bit about Dash Drive?
Don't know that much about Dash Drive other than, yeah, I thought it was about storage and a lot of things that they hadn't even revealed yet. Like there was a lot of potential for just a lot of different aspects. I'm not too big on Dash Drive. I just remember seeing that they had a lot they were going to reveal.
Okay.
What do you know?
Yeah, so all of that stuff coming together. So like the Dash Drive is basically like the storage element of the Dash platform. So it will hold the things, and then you can make contact with the Dash Drive through the DAPI. So the forward facing here, you're the user. You go through the DAPI to the Dash Drive. You affect change in your wallet or anything else, and that state comes back through the DAPI to your wallet. So and this is going to be available anywhere. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your desktop. You can do it on your iPad. You can use the same wallet everywhere. And you can't do that right now unless it's a centralized service. So this is decentralized, and it's going to be doing the same thing. That's what I think is really good. And not only that, but it's going to be like a decentralized app store. So if you're out there and you use iOS or you use anything like that, you can actually go to this App Store and you can check all these different applications that run on the Dash platform. You can load them, and then they'll work on the Dash platform in a decentralized way. No one's going to tell you what you can and can't do with them.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and why? Because of the masternodes. The masternodes enable all this to happen. So whenever you think of things in the crypto industry that are revolutionary, the masternodes definitely are, and we have Evan Duffield to thank for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically it for today. I just want to check the chat quickly to see if there's anything anybody has to say. So it says, is Dash founder still cray-cray? Hex Quisling, he kind of went down a dark path, I think. He started to do a little bit of drugs, I think, and I'm not sure, he had some mental issues. But ever since, 2017 was the last time we saw him in any real capacity. And then he started something called Dash Labs, where he was working on things, and I think he just went down a dark path and he started descending, started deteriorating over time. But there's definitely, I don't have enough positive words to say about Evan Duffield because he brought this into the world. He brought Dash, he brought the Masternodes, he brought PrivateSend, he brought InstantSend. He brought all this stuff to Dash. And for that, I'm going to be forever grateful for him. I don't want to look at him in a negative way. These things happen to people. People do this sometimes. They go down a bad path, and there's nothing you can do about it. But the fact is, he brought all this to Dash, and I'm very happy he did, because Dash has a bright future, and it's all because of him. So it says, the crypto learner says, wow, I love the Dash guys. Much more open than high cap maximalists. Cool. So, right, that's cool. You guys, thanks for those comments. Smash the like. If you guys want to hear from this HexaDashers, you want to hear more from me and Blake, we're happy to do this. We're happy to talk about Dash because no one else is except for Joel Valenzuela and maybe a couple of people here and there. But this is going to be a steady thing. We're going to talk about it. We're going to invite you to talk with us. We're going to learn about Hex. We're going to learn about Dash. and we're going to have some fun. What do you have to say about that, Blake?
I've had a blast, and yeah, I want to make sure it's known. Love both communities. There's so much great going on with Hex, so much going on great with Dash. There's so much more we can get into.
Yep. So let's say one good thing about each currency before we sign off. So what do you want to say good about Hex?
About Hex, I want to say, wow, is it pumping right now? And I think a lot of it is people are gearing up for this sacrifice for Pulse Chain.
Oh yeah, that's a future episode. That's a future episode for sure.
Sure, whole nother subject there, but that's what's great about Hex right now is I think people are just really digging the game theory.
Yep. And for me, I'm going to talk about Dash. Like I said before, it has a multitude of possibilities. It's a very undervalued cryptocurrency because when you consider about all the things we just discussed, if you're just coming in now, watch the whole thing. We just went through every aspect of Dash from the beginning to now. And it's just amazing what Dash can do and why it's so undervalued. I'll never know. But we're going to talk about it more. We're going to get you involved. We want to see people on the podcast. We want to see people writing in the chat. And we want to just have some fun with Dash and HEX because we don't have to be involved with just one crypto. We can be involved with 2 or even more. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on out there, so we want to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I welcome hard questions.
Absolutely. So do you have any contact info that you want to share with our viewers?
You know, I'm good actually. I'm happy just to show up here and voice my opinion. So I'm cool.
All right. So if you want to get a hold of me, I'm at Tao of Satoshi on Twitter, and you can find me at Cash Alternative TV right here. I'll be putting out other shows as well as this podcast. So hopefully we'll be able to make this a regular thing, people. So I'm glad you guys showed up, and until the next time. All right.